What is up, everybody? It is Saturday. You know what time it is. It is time to go beyond with the Smash podcast. So join us as we Texas smash your ears. As always, on the usual panel, we got the man with the plan, Mr. Operation himself.
What is up, everybody? What's up? Got my ice cream ready. Get this show on the road, yo. Let's go.
He's getting that diabetes over there.
Oh
Diabetes
no.
on the way.
Ugh.
Oh, man. And of course, we got the ever living man himself, the animation king, Mr. Soul.
What is good, everybody? Tonight's gonna be a good show.
Oh yeah, definitely some good stuff. And Neth and Super G can't be with us tonight. However, I know Super G will try to pop in when he can. But let's get on to our superstar here. It's the saltiest man you could ever know. If anything's causing you anger, it's probably because of this man right here. It's Mr. Saltiest Gaming.
Hey, what's up, everybody? Saltiest Gaming, and I'm back. Well, I guess this is the first time that I've ever been here, but you get the point.
We'll be back. We'll be back.
Yeah.
What's going on with you, Salty? What's going on, brother?
You know, man, just, keeping it salty. That's how I do it, but that's not anything from, different from the norm. Had a busy day today on this lovely Saturday. It's about 80 degrees here in Arizona, so
Sheesh. Ooh,
yeah.
like 30 over here, man.
Yeah, it's crazy, man.
Can we trade weather, please? I'm tired of this rain.
See, I could miss that nice weather right now because Texas is sitting like in the 50s, and I don't like it. It's too cold for us, man.
Yeah, I don't know, man. It's weird. Like, I feel like Arizona just skipped winter completely. We had like 2 days that were jacket worthy, and then I haven't had to wear a jacket. It's crazy. But
you know what's funny? You say that in Texas has like 4 seasons. It's spring, kind of spring, summer, spring, and then winter. That's it.
Shit. Arizona's all about hot, super hot, balls hot. Then it's just like the devil's,
The devil's anus. Well, anyway, we know that our man, Mr. 108 Dragons, is supposed to be dropping in here, and we might have Nick Fury dropping in here a little bit. They're taking care of some things, but let's go ahead and get started here. So, man, this week has been news heavy. So many trailers getting prepped for the new movie season, whatever you want to call it. And there's just so much good stuff coming out and so many talks about big things. I don't know about y'all, but a lot of it has me pretty hyped. And probably one of the biggest interesting one that I saw was the Game of Thrones producers, DB Weiss and David Benioff, are actually in talks to do a new Star Wars saga.
I actually did not know that.
Yeah, they apparently they were talking and that they already sat down with Kathleen Kennedy and they're being given they're going to be heading up a new saga themselves. And this is already besides the saga that we know that Rian Johnson's going to be doing after episode 9 with when JJ Abrams comes back for that. But we know the next saga is going to be headed by Rian Johnson and that there's going to be a saga done by the Game of Thrones producers. So what are y'all's thoughts on that?
I think that's really good. I love Game of Thrones. I've been like obsessed with that, and their storytelling is really good. So I think that would work perfect. I think that really worked good.
I was excited to hear about it as well because just being completely transparent, I haven't started Game of Thrones yet. Or it's a very slow start, which is kind of a little intimidating to me. But I hear Game of Thrones producers. I remember see everything how good the show is, like how blue it can get. I remember how kid friendly Disney can be. So I'm kind of a little worried, like probably like hold them back.
That
because
is
not do what they want to do. Yeah, because you think of Star Wars, you're not gonna think it'll go like full brutal, full like gets raw with it. So we'll keep it at least kid friendly, have a wide audience for that. That's probably one concern I have with it. But still, I'm very hopeful for the series and the saga.
Oh, definitely, and I agree that knowing where Game of Thrones has come, it is going to be an interesting sense. Star Wars is now Disney's one of their biggest money making flagships. How having the heads of probably one of the biggest global phenomenon TV shows, but probably one of the most controversial because there's been a lot of things that come out over it because DB Weiss and David Benioff have kind of gotten into some fire over some things in the past with the way that they portray certain scenes, how they do certain characters, how they how they handle a lot of the cast, because they've been called misogynistic or, kind of closet homophobic, things like this. And then they go from one extreme to another after we saw in the last season, a lot of stronger women characters, really coming forward, which isn't necessarily a bad thing, but some of them kind of came out of nowhere without any sort of like pre-build up, besides maybe Arya and of course Cersei herself. So this is going to be interesting on how they do the direction for it, as well as how they're going to manage it, because Star Wars itself can get pretty dark. And if you've read any of the expanded universe
Oh yeah,
books,
definitely, man.
it gets completely messed up to all hell with some of the characters. And
Didn't they? I swear, didn't they come out and say that they would never make a rated R Star Wars movie or something like that?
Probably not, but it's definitely gonna be like a hard PG-13. I would definitely say that. Like,
they probably push the boundaries to PG-13.
They're gonna push it just under, because you gotta think too that, and even in Star Wars Episode 3, the scene where Anakin killed all the kids and cut them, we didn't see it because it was off screen, but
it was definitely into that.
It was definitely leaning into what he was gonna do. So it's definitely gonna be an interesting take. Salty, what do you think?
Man, it's funny because Game of Thrones is probably my favorite TV show of all time. It is my favorite TV show. I think there's not really a show that really stacks up to it, just based on the cinematography and the amount of money that they put in each episode. The CG work is second to none. They're putting in so basically the way that they're running the show now is it's like a mini movie every episode. That's why they've had to cut it down, and they're overseas, and the connections between Star Wars and Game of Thrones have been clear. The Mother of Dragons is going to be on the Han Solo movie. You see a lot of the people that are doing some of the that are working on the show or crossing between the two, so the connections have been there. When I heard this news, I was elated, honestly. I think these guys have what it takes to put a story together and then have continuity with the story. I think the thing that's been missing in the Star Wars universe, as far as when Disney took over, is the continuity between storylines. If you look at The Force Awakens and then The Last Jedi, it seems like the two directors and the screenwriters and everybody, they didn't talk to each other. It's like it just doesn't seem to connect. And that's the biggest problem that I have right now with the Star Wars universe, is when you're making a trilogy, it should have, threads that you can follow and connections and pieces and stuff like that. Definitely. So that's the issue there. And I think one of the main issues is Rian Johnson started, writing The Last Jedi even before The Force Awakens was done. And I don't think he did his research there, but that's another topic for another day. I think that these guys will bring a realness to Star Wars that we haven't seen. I hope that it's kind of an Old Republic type feel, maybe something there. They haven't really talked about what they're going to do specifically, but like I was saying, they work in the TV space, so they make 8 or 9 episodes, and they need to make them connect. So that's what they'll bring to the Star Wars universe, and I think it'll be more gritty. It's not going to have nudity and all that other stuff. It's not going to be rated R and stuff, but it'll be more gritty, So
yeah, definitely. And you're right about that, because you do got to think that with Game of Thrones, they were set in 10 episode pieces. They're having to go through multiple books that have hundreds and hundreds of pages and little details, and they're trying to condense it. And yes, I can see where some people feel that they have issues with telling the story, just because of the fact that they were doing their own thing and handling it in their vision compared to the original story by George R.R. Martin. However, you too have to think of that these episodes are still only an hour, and they have to get a certain amount of information and stuff shown to kind of give the story. And yes, there's going to be some threads that are going to kind of be missing or anything, but they definitely do still hold it all together well. And I do agree that it is an exciting point. And with The Last Jedi, with being written by Rian Johnson, I still love the movie, but it does have its issues. And part of that was it wasn't being continued by the same person. They're having multiple different perspectives. And he started writing it after he saw what was being done with The Force Awakens, and you know it's a perspective issue, and that is kind of where I see a lot of the people who hated the movie, you know, come from. However, you know, completely throwing it outright isn't the way to do it. But I do believe that if it is being done, it should have that continuity and continuation from the same person.
The weird thing for me is, you know, you got the Star Wars group, right? They're supposedly treating things like Marvel when it, you know, Kathleen Kennedy is there, she's like overseeing stuff, but so you got different directors for these different movies, but then they're given free reign when it came to the story, like the way they wanted to write it. That's a weird thing for me when it's a trilogy. A trilogy is a long story that's cut into 3 parts, in my opinion. And the reason why The Last Jedi burned so many people is because it didn't make any sense. It's like J.J. Abrams sets up this perfect, it's like he's lobbying a softball, you know, to people to hit it out the park. And then Rian Johnson basically flushes it down the toilet. That's the way it worked, because it showed with the first scene with Luke when he gets the lightsaber, his father's lightsaber, he throws it over his shoulder, right? He like doesn't give a shit. But when in reality, that never would have made sense with the overarch of the story, because it's like in The Last Jedi, he's like, oh, I went to this island to die, but it's like, would you have done that? You know, like, is that what, you know, Luke would have done? So anyway, that's the story there, and you can decide whether or not you know, it's for you or not. But the good thing about these guys that they're going to bring is a realness that they bring in their story. The thing that confused me was this, when this news came out, that people immediately went to the race thing, the sexist thing, the lack of diversity thing. Why can't we just focus on getting the best qualified people in there? You know, it always goes to that. And IGN did, you know, go ahead.
I agree. You're not wrong. It does always seem to come into that. And again, there's nothing wrong with diversity. There's nothing wrong to inclusion. There's plenty of great, you know, people of color directors, you know, black. There's, you know, of course, Guillermo del Toro, who's a big, you know, Spanish director, and a bunch of others. But it's just like, there's people who show interest in wanting to do projects, and there's some who don't. Look at a man like Steven Spielberg. He's probably the biggest white director, but he's always doing something because of the fact that he's passionate about so much, and he helps to make a lot of those magic films, you know. But, you know, not everyone has that same kind of drive to do big projects, especially with something you got to think of a name and juggernaut like Star Wars, because you've seen how badly, if someone mishandles that, people get ripped to shreds. Not everyone is willing to kind of take that chance. And it's not to say that they won't take the risk or they're not open to it, but it's some people are
it's like public suicide.
Exactly.
Mess it up.
Because when you take something like that and a couple other big, you know, franchises, if you don't do it in the way that the public and fans want,
your career's almost dead.
Yeah, you're gonna be, you know, put on blast in the worst way, and people are gonna hold it to you, and that's gonna follow you. It's one of those dangers that come with something like that.
I don't know, man. It's weird because IGN, there's a video that they put out, and it was a reaction to the, you know, this news, and the lady that was there immediately just started bashing on the move. Oh, it's a couple more white guys getting hired and blah 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 and this and that, and that video specifically had the most dislikes I've ever seen within a couple of hours, because that narrative isn't needed, man. I mean,
it's not. It's definitely the most clicked because it's the most popular right now, especially like attack against diversity, inclusion, stuff like that right now. That's just what there is.
They also got to think too, with Star Wars being as big of a juggernaut that it is, it also hasn't had that many movies. A lot of it comes down to the merchandise and stuff like that, but
spin-offs as well.
Yeah, we've had the 8 mainline movies, and then we've had 2 spin-off series in the TV show that are continuous, which is Rebels and Clone Wars.
Did the Clone Wars one count on Toonami? Does that count as continuity?
Yes, the Clone Wars.
That was my favorite one. All of them.
Yeah, it does fill in between 2 and 3, and then some after 3 going into 4. and then Rebels picks up in the time between 3 and 4 heavily, and a little bit after 4. I don't know. It's still kind of unclear on that, but it does show a lot of that. But there hasn't been a lot of, you know, movies into that. Now, you know, we had Rogue One, and now we have the Han Solo movie coming out and things like that. However, we've seen a lot of the tension with the directors and directions and a lot of issues coming from those kinds of movies and things like that. So you got to think that with something as big as Disney and how quick they are to pull a project or pull someone off if it's not doing anywhere, they're not afraid to take a loss because they know that they can make it up later.
Yep.
So that not everyone is willing to take that chance. Like I want more, you know, experimental directors to come out. I do want more, you know, multi-ethnical directors to come out onto it. But it's the fact of some don't have the notoriety, nor are they willing to take that risk, because if they mess it up, then they're done. That's where
it never has the skills or talent to do as well.
Yeah, and that's not to downplay any of the things that they do. Like there's so many out there that are talented and phenomenal, but it's not everyone is willing or has that star power or has that notoriety. Like look at Black Panther that's coming out. It has one of the biggest black directors out there. However, he wasn't that well known because he didn't get a lot of credit for the movies he's done. And
he did like 2 movies before that one though.
Yeah, he directed Creed.
And Creed.
Yeah. And those are phenomenal movies, but he didn't get the credit that he should have gotten for those. And now they pulled him on to do this, and everyone is lauding that movie as a blowout, and that's great. But not everyone is like that. Not every director has that kind of you know, pull. That's where it comes down to. I hate this narrative of oh, it's not a woman, oh, it's not, you know, someone of color.
Too many white men. If you don't have the skills for it, it can't. You can be a good director, but you can't always translate it to like specific movie genre. Like you can be a good director, but doesn't even make a good sci-fi movie or good action movie or good horror movie. It doesn't always translate well.
Exactly. Like that. And the ones that we have seen that have been knockouts, you know, some of the best female directors, like we saw with Patty Jenkins and what she did with, you know, Wonder Woman. That's a great thing. You know, we've seen a lot of female directors do really good drama movies and, you know, occasionally horror movies, but some of those elements don't always translate over to something like Star Wars and sci-fi. Yes, they have the aspects of it, but it doesn't always tie together.
Everybody has their niche.
The point of this is a lot of these people that are creating this narrative, they don't care. It's just like, would you guys be happy if you put a woman or a person of color in there if they weren't qualified for the job? And it's almost like slotting someone in because they have that title, and that's not the way things work. It's just like we want to get the best people possible for these movies so we can get the best possible film. Like I personally, it's like with Rian Johnson. He's slated to do another trilogy, but you know, just because he's a white man and doing a film, doesn't mean he's qualified for it. It's just you need to be qualified for and have, you know, a pedigree of things that you've done. Like J.J. Abrams, how many films has he done?
J.J. Abrams, he's really known for like piecing everything together, cryptic, like very like cryptic, and it's real good. I like because he did the Cloverfield movies. He likes to piece all his movies together, kind of. I don't know. I like the guy, but Rian Johnson, I really can't really say much about him.
Yeah, for me,
what has he said? What has he done, Rian Johnson?
I don't know, man. He did. What was it? Yeah, exactly. I can't even think of the movie. So I don't get why Rian Johnson was the man, and I still don't get why they were quick to the draw to give him a trilogy. It's just like what did he do that merited that situation?
He directed Looper.
Looper, there you go. I couldn't even think of it, man. I mean, that's not really a big mainstream.
Kind of ended on a terrible cliffhanger. I remember that.
It was all right. It was good. It was all right movie.
Yeah,
for me.
But he did Looper, which was his big one, as well as he directed several episodes of Breaking Bad.
Okay.
Well, I mean,
we just have to see what he does with the next two.
I think a lot of it is because as we went into is that the issue with it is the fact of he had his own thoughts and perspective on the story compared, which kind of was opposite of what J.J. Abrams did, and we saw that differentiation. So we saw the opposing perspectives, and that's what put a lot of people off. I agree with what me and Neth have said before, is that if he gets his own saga, seeing his continuous vision from the beginning to the end, I think it'll do it a lot better compared to him following with what he thinks after coming into what JJ Abrams did, and then JJ Abrams having to come over and pick up where he left off, because they're continuously kind of going against each other.
Yeah, just whatever he does with his new saga, just make sure it's continuous. Because like, if all movies are fragmented, it's gonna cause more stress to the community, and people who enjoy these movies cut swath through the community just again, like The Last Jedi somewhat did this time, just to be good continuity.
Yeah,
it's just it's easy to say like, hey, I want a Marvel Cinematic Universe type feel with Star Wars, but that's pretty much what I want. I want people, a story group to get together and say, hey, this is our thoughts on the Force and the direction of it. It's like, you know, with Snoke, they said that he served his purpose, and with Kylo Ren, you know, which is okay, but like, why build him up the way you did? And
exactly,
you know, I went along with I kind of believe the fact that it was a misdirection, as well as the fact of they didn't want to do another Palpatine situation. You know, and a lot of people kind of forget that Palpatine was mentioned a lot in the original trilogy way back in the day, and he was only given real time for all of 7 minutes before he was killed off in episode 6, just like Snoke was. We didn't really get an explanation of how he was or who he was until they did the prequel trilogy years later.
Yeah, I get that. I get that argument, but at the same time, they had the prequels for, you know, Palpatine and stuff like that. But the way that they treated Snoke, like he's like, you know, bring him to me. We'll finish his training. Blah blah blah. Did they even show any training for, you know, Kylo Ren? If they did, I missed it. But he stated, hey, you need to come back. Need to get trained. We didn't see that. You know, all these things, these threads that were built up. It's like you're building a story, and then you take a blowtorch to them, and then they're not important, right?
I agree with that, and it's definitely one of those things. My biggest thing was that they didn't, you know, there were certain characters that just weren't seen, and hopefully they kind of explain a little bit more in 9 with JJ being back in the seat. Hopefully he can kind of clear up some of the mess on that, but it is one of those things where it does come down to having that opposing perspectives going back and forth, which was the issue.
So do you think the directors from what's it called, Game of Thrones, do you think they're going to be doing stuff for the streaming service? Because I know there's rumors of that, because they're starting their own, Disney's starting their own streaming service out there. So,
and you know what, with Disney wanting to start their own streaming service, we see them pulling in a lot of different companies and a lot of content that they can put into the streaming service and use as an infrastructure, because we know that they just bought, I believe it's like 60% of shares for Hulu. So they have that controlling infrastructure as well to use with. So it is definitely possible for especially with directors as big as David Benioff and DB Weiss for this, having the star power and notoriety from being so huge from Game of Thrones. It would, if they don't do a saga, I think it definitely would be great to have them do a big live action Star Wars that they put only on their streaming service, because that would pull in people like crazy, because everyone knows that, you know, season 8 is going to be the last Game of Thrones. It's this and that. So everyone's trying to get that next Game of Thrones sensation to start and be able to pick up after that juggernaut ends. So I think if they're able to pull that, then, you know, that would be a great thing for them to have.
That's very true, but I think they're not gonna get their fix from Star Wars. Because the thing about Game of Thrones, there was so much stuff that was like mysterious in the books that they just tied together in a TV show. So I don't know. I don't see them actually really. If they do make a streaming service for that, I guess, but I don't know. I don't.
I think I'll be more happy to get like their own, I guess, TV series from Star Wars on a streaming service.
Yeah, I don't feel like paying another $10.99.
True, if it's $5, I'm cool with it, but all these streaming services, they're pulling me dry at this point. I'm not paying $50 across like 5 or so different streaming services. It's getting a little out of hand now.
Yeah, I want to smack Jay Fonzarelli with some knowledge real quick. So he's talking about the Star Wars was left to the little ones to embrace. Star Wars has always been about little ones. So that's just the knowledge that you got to get in your head. Star Wars has always been about kids. You know, George Lucas talked about this from the beginning. The way he wrote the narrative was in a way that kids would be able to understand it. So that's the thing that's a misconception when it comes to Star Wars, that it's supposed to be this adult, you know, narrative, and it's supposed to be this adult thing. It's never been that. So just for the fact that Disney picks it up and, you know, we're expecting The Last Jedi to be, you know, super raw and dark and all that other stuff, that's not what Star Wars has really been. The darkest movie that I probably saw was, you know, episode 3, right?
Yeah.
So,
yeah, Revenge of the Sith.
I was definitely getting those vibes from the trailer for Last Jedi, though. They get being dark.
Yeah,
hey, but
it definitely had that feel.
So I just want to let Fonz know I still love him, but
You're wrong.
that knowledge, you know. He's kind of he's soured on Star Wars in general.
Yeah.
He said it's time to move on, but I'll never move on from Star Wars, honestly. Like, my passion with Star Wars is hand in hand with my passion with gaming.
Oh God,
so.
yes. I said I stand by it because it still has that magical aspect for me. Because I grew up watching it as a kid and seeing episode 4 for the first time on VHS was just mind blowing. And then in episode 8, just seeing that 15-second scene of just silence when they lightspeed jump straight through the ships, like that is mind blowing for me. It still has magic for me. Yes, it has its faults, but just like anything, it still has those moments that are just mind blowing.
Yeah, Jay Fonz is gonna mess around and make me drive to Cali, dude. He's talking
Take
so much
our
shit
trip.
Jay Fonz, just wait for E3. We're gonna go out to the bar. We're gonna get drunk, and we're gonna go out to the parking lot. We're gonna throw hands. 5 seconds later, I'll be knocked out, but we'll settle it there. Now, speaking of Star Wars, moving on from there, we finally got a taste of Solo, the Han Solo story. And I have to tell you, knowing the amount of issues that movie has had since they've gone through almost 2 or 3 directors and everything else, the multiple reshoots, seeing that trailer, I'm not looking forward to that movie. I'm not.
I was about to say the same exact thing.
I could care less for a Solo movie at this point. I
was say the same exact thing.
Like here's the worst part about it is that you're taking probably one of the most loved like characters in Star Wars, and you're doing a prequel to his backstory. That's great. How has there been so much back and forth through multiple writers, multiple directors, that the movie is kind of looking like that? Don't get me wrong, visually it looks phenomenal. It does. Donald Glover, he looks great for Lando. Everything else about the trailer and the movie, I'm not sold on.
It seems like a very simple movie to do as well, as far as like backstory and console. So I'm really not understanding all the issues they've been having.
It really is, and you got to think of like what they did. Look at how great Rogue One was for a lot of people. They took all of two sentences in the original 4th episode and turned it into a movie. Yes, there's some people who are going to complain about character, motivation out that movie, and yes, there are some questionable things, but the movie itself was still solid. And the fact that it was a one-off, it wasn't trying to do anything. This is a one-off for one of your biggest characters, and so many people aren't sold on it. As a Star Wars fan, I'll probably still watch it. I'm just not sold on it.
Man, I gotta come with that counter argument. All right, so when it comes to this movie, it's a movie that nobody asked for, arguably nobody wanted, And you got to question the story group and the decision makers at Star Wars in general, because why it's like you hear people saying the movies they want, the movies that they'll pay for to go see. And at the forefront is Obi-Wan, right? One of the movies that they've been talking about. And then they push this movie out. And I promise you, I've been telling everybody that I didn't give a shit about this movie and I didn't care about it. But then what do you know? I see the trailer for it. I see it and then I get excited. I want to see it. I want to see it day one. All my thoughts change on it. The thing is Ron Howard was called in to, direct this movie, and he's done so many reshoots that he can just basically call the movie his own. And the dude that wrote the screenplay is the same dude that wrote Empire Strikes Back, and he's been quoted to say that this is the best story that he's written. So you put those two and two together with the visuals and the sound, you got a good movie. The only thing that could be a drawback, and it's a huge thing, is the guy that's, acting as Han Solo. When I heard him at first, I was like, man, he doesn't sound like Harrison Ford. He doesn't look like him, but does he have to? That's the question. Does he have to look like Harrison Ford, or can he make it his own? I think it's a good idea to make Han Solo his own, because let's be honest, unless you have cloning as a thing, as a possibility, there's no actor on the planet Earth that's going to get Harrison Ford's look and his sound right to the T. So no matter who you got to play Han Solo, they're never going to do a job good enough to say, yeah, I buy it as a young Harrison Ford. But this dude, the way he's, I've heard some issues with his acting and some other things. But if you guys remember, Rogue One was in the news because it had to do all the reshoots, and we know what happened with that movie.
Yeah,
it sold a bunch, and it became a huge success. I think it's going to be the same thing with this movie, because people are going with extremely low expectations. I think they'll be coming out of the movie surprised, and that's the counter argument to The Last Jedi. People came in with huge expectations and they left disappointed. So that's the difference.
That's definitely a valid argument.
Your trash ass gonna have to wait now.
And that's where I wanted to go with too. Is that on certain movies, that you can have that aspect of, you go into it and it doesn't look like it is going to be good for you. You set your bar low, and when it significantly exceeds that, you're blown away and you're happy with that. And like I said, the trailer didn't do it for me, but as a fan and how much I still love it, I know I'm still going to see it. And if it does turn out to be just mind-blowingly amazing, because, knowing how Ron Howard does, knowing that the fact that they're having the writer for Empire help to kind of do this, that's great. That would be a great, blow away for people who thought that the movie was just being, put out just to get it out, be done with, after everything. And that's a great point to bring up there, Salty, as I can definitely see that being, one of those upsets, those surprises for a lot of people.
So another counter argument that I want to make with Fonz, because he's talking a lot in chat. He's talking about how shitty this movie is going to be, but how can I take your opinion seriously when you said the franchise was dead after The Last Jedi? Like, you're not going to go into this movie. You're not going to look at the trailers. You're not going to look at it with an objective point of view. You already think everything's trash. So why would I even listen to what you have to say? So that's just the facts.
You can't write off the movie anyway because nobody's seen it yet. I just don't have that much interest in it. I'll definitely go and see it, but I'm not going to just write.
I'm not going on release.
And that's understandable if it's definitely not a movie you're gonna look at.
It might definitely be good. I'm not gonna say it's gonna be trash, but
exactly.
It definitely can be good.
Yeah, it definitely, like I said, it right now, because there's so little of it, one of those things that it has that potential to be an upset and be really good. Of course, then it also has the potential of falling through everyone's expectations as already low as it is, that it's going to be, bad. But yeah. I still think it right now, like if they show more, because they always do big promotional for a movie closer to when it's going to launch out. So I think here in the next month or so, we're going to see more.
Question: when does it release?
May?
No,
May. June.
Is it May or is it June?
No, it's
Let me
June.
check. Let me get the exact date.
Because they moved Deadpool up to not compete with Solo, which I believe is either June 1st or June 8th. is when it's coming out. So
May 25th.
May 25th? Is it May 25th?
Yep.
Okay. Well, there you go. But like I said, with that, it has potential to go one of two ways. So we're definitely going to see more of it here in the coming months. And at that point, you know, you can get gauge your kind of attention on, is it good? Is it bad? Are you going to write it off or anything like that? And look who's finally showing up in the chat, Mr. 108 Dragons himself. Where are you, bro?
Send the bat signal out.
Yeah, gotta send that dragon signal, bro. Put it in the
Where
sky.
are you going? Chief.
All right. But like I said, there's definitely a lot of potential for it to go either way. And I think writing it off now from that first tease is definitely not the way to do it. Like I said, I'm not completely sold on it. So I'm unsure at this point, knowing everything that's already happened to it, but I'm still going to give it a chance here. And at least that's my opinion on it.
Yeah.
And speaking of movies that people are unsure of, Venom. We finally got word on Venom. We've already been seeing, you know, they finished shooting all the scenes. They're in post-production. We've seen a lot of shots as Tom Hardy, as good old Eddie Brock, and hearing about it.
Oh,
and
yeah, Venom.
We finally got the teaser trailer.
Venom.
And a lot of people aren't sure. And me being one of them, I found the monologue from Eddie Brock to be very interesting. But seeing what was going on in the trailer, it makes me wonder what the hell is going on in the movie.
They did accomplish their job. It was a teaser.
Yeah, it's definitely a teaser.
They pulled a Jaw teaser trailer. They don't want to show their best thing yet. I understand.
Exactly. And
they can at least show Venom a little bit.
Yeah, but here's the big thing about it, though.
Y'all what y'all needed.
Yeah, no, you're not wrong there, Soul. But the big thing is, most people who aren't following it and aren't fans of Venom or what this is, aren't knowing what the movie is about or what it is. The big thing about it is, it had me interested and intrigued, but I'm not completely like so
hype for it. We gotta wait. We gotta wait.
Yeah. It's definitely one of those things that you gotta wait for. Like, I've been following the film because, one, I love Tom Hardy, I love Venom, and knowing that the fact that it's going to be a mix between Agent Venom as well as part of Planet of this, Lethal Protector and Planet of the Symbiotes, because we're going to see a lot of the other ones. I'm excited to see what they do with those storylines, but it's the fact of they didn't show the name of the movie. They, you know, only those who know what Venom looks like will get the reference at the end on the way that they showed his face and made the V. But anyone who doesn't know what that is isn't gonna know.
I don't. If you don't know who Venom is, man, that's a problem.
But you got to think too that this comic book movies now and superheroes are starting to pull in a lot of the casual audience, and not everyone knows who these big people are.
And finally, if you don't know who Venom is, you're a scrub.
I feel like you have to know who Venom is, though. Doctor Strange, and man, you can get by with that. Venom, nah, he's like one of the top villains.
Look, everyone's only known case of Venom is what we got in Sam Raimi's Spider-Man 3, and we all know Sam Raimi hated Venom, and that's why he looked like he did.
But I don't know. Like, first off, I believe Tom Hardy knows how to pick his movies, so I'm pretty confident he's really into this movie.
Oh, he'll do a good job, no doubt.
So,
I definitely agree.
I think this is just like an origin story. We're probably not gonna see Venom probably until like mid or end of the movie.
Yeah, we won't see much action. Probably more like human strife from Tom Hardy.
If you go look up the movie right now, it's classified as a horror. What do you think about it?
I don't know.
What are your thoughts, bro?
All right, so first of all, they got this teaser out because all these other superhero movies were getting their teasers, their trailers out, you know, and they're just like, yeah, we got to get ours out. And honestly, they didn't have the CGI ready for Venom, and that's why you didn't see a damn thing when it came to Venom. And it's like, why are you guys going to get a trailer out when you don't have Venom? It'd be like having a Captain Marvel teaser, and it doesn't show any of her and her costume or any of her powers. It's just like, this is a superhero movie. He's kind of an anti whatever. It doesn't matter. It's a comic book movie. And what you showed me, I could get in any other movie. Explosions, cars flipping, you know, a guy moving his face looking weird. It's just like it didn't do it for me, right? It didn't have a Venom feel to me, and it felt like a wasted effort. Like,
But
let's be
I think they're
honest.
not trying to go for that typical superhero movie. Like they're
Because
the same thing. The same thing with Logan. Logan was not a superhero movie. That was just movie
beyond that
Logan.
fact, you're talking about Venom. You know, it's a symbiote, it's a suit, it's the main issue with the. You didn't show any of that. You didn't show like a teaser. You didn't show him like in the background. Like we didn't see any of it.
But people expect too much from a teaser trailer.
Nah, but it's a teaser. I mean, I got a teaser of Han Solo, but I saw Han Solo, and I saw the Millennium Falcon, and I saw Chewie, and I saw, you know, Lando. I saw lots of stuff in a teaser. I didn't see shit with the Venom movie.
Yeah,
I didn't. If you told me you could play that movie and then take out the last part of it, and people wouldn't know what the fuck it is.
Yep,
that's true. I agree.
Exactly.
I agree.
And that's where I'm coming from. Before I go on to it, because I know I got a little rant on that. Lemon, you finally showing up, brother.
Bad. This the first Saturday I've been off. I laid down. Oh boy.
He was gone after that.
He took Z's, man. He went night.
Oh man, sorry about that, fellas. My apologies to the panel. My bad.
You good?
You're good, man.
What are your thoughts on the Venom trailer, my man?
I ask y'all a question, right? And I'm gonna name some movies. Godzilla.
2014 Godzilla.
Yeah, Godzilla.
Yeah.
King Kong. Spider-Man. What teaser when they got a uniform or a suit they don't want to show ever puts it in the teaser trailer?
That is true. That is very true.
You're not wrong there. They're definitely literally.
They're not going to show it, and they're not showing it. Not because they ain't ready.
That's their biggest.
This is what they do. They want to hold the design to shock people. Maybe when they get closer to release, they'll drop it. But I was fine with it. You can't expect nothing out of a teaser. Sometimes a teaser is music, background, some punching in the face, word scroll. That's what teasers do. People expecting too much out of that. I'm not a big Venom guy, but I know what movies do with, you know what I'm saying, with teaser trailers. And sometimes, you know, Han Solo, they really had to show something. You know, this is not a regular Star Wars movie. They got to give you something to keep people interested. Venom and the suit, they're holding off. The same thing they do in these other movies, man.
Yeah, but it's not just the suit for me, man. If you, like I said, you take away the back part of it, people don't know that that's a Venom movie, and I think it's just as important. It's just as important.
They don't want it to
be that they get this trailer right, because no one. It's like they're doing a standalone Venom movie, which in itself doesn't make any sense.
Did you go look at the Logan trailer? You wouldn't think that's a Wolverine movie.
They showed his claws, right? People know who he is.
I hated Logan.
I mean, they did in the later trailers. And the first one, they had in the first trailer trailer.
I remember a lot of videos. In the background, everybody speculated that he lost his powers. Yeah, everybody speculated that he lost his powers.
Yeah,
like that.
The problem that I have with the Venom trailer is that Sony, you know, historically had troubles like towards the end with Spider-Man, right? And then they come out of nowhere and they announced this Venom movie. They needed to hit this teaser trailer out the park because people are skeptical. You know, they're skeptical, excuse me, about if this movie is going to be good.
But they had two good movies recently. That's
Deadpool
and Logan.
Let me ask you a question.
No.
Those are Fox.
They wanted to do.
And that's
all they've been talking about.
Yeah, and this conversation right here that we're having, I think, is what it coming down to. And I want to give a shout out to Basement right now, because he makes a good point too, that for a lot of people, you know, the teaser is that it is a teaser, as well as what we're saying here. And there's two camps right now in regards to this one. Is there's one that we're so used to seeing everything straight out the gate from trailers that some people think that there's too much in it. And there's this one where they put so little that there's no, no one's able to break it down. No one can get an idea. It's very close to the chest. Either way you look at it, me, at least personally, I'm hyped for Venom because of the fact that I've always been a big Venom fan, and I do love Tom Hardy. Tom Hardy picks his roles very well, and he goes overboard with them and does them phenomenally. I think if anyone can really give that kind of obsessed personality for Eddie Brock to match with Venom, it would be him. But right now I definitely want to see more teases. We saw the tease of the symbiote. But and Salty, you're right on this, is that they took away the last 10-20 seconds of the Venom logo of his face. No one would know that it's a superhero movie or anti-hero movie about Venom, because no one would know who that is.
But I think that's the purpose. I think that's what they're trying to do.
Agreed. I definitely think that it is what is being kind of planned out here. So it's either really smart marketing and they know what they're doing, or it's really not, and they don't know what they're doing. It could go either way. This is another one of those ones that it can go either way.
But yeah, this trailer, it caught just piquing our interest in the movie. It didn't show us a lot.
Either way, it was trending. Trending is good no matter what.
It definitely got a lot of people talking about it. That's what
it has that.
Oh,
it has
they did. They want people to talk, and that's exactly what happened.
They want my share about this movie.
Yo, Twitter and social media lit up. Oh my God! Crazy. You know what? Yo, this is retarded. They didn't show that. And then other people, like myself, was like, I know it gave you the atmosphere of the movie. It looks serious as hell.
Yeah,
because they gotta have the seriousness. I don't want to see no joking. I don't want to see no playing.
It's classified as a horror, so I think it's gonna. And it's rated R too. Come on.
Yeah, and like I said, a lot of that does come down to how Eddie Brock is with the symbiote, because remember, Eddie Brock is obsessed with Peter Parker because of how he feels Peter wronged him. They're doing it a little bit different, because this one they're going with that lethal protector, where he's coming out of prison, he's trying to connect with his family again. It's not working, and he's all sorts of messed up. The Venom symbiote kind of pushes that further when he does meet the symbiote, and it bonds to him. So I think that he's played those kinds of characters that are obsessed and outlandish and crazy, but methodical at the same time. So I think if anyone could do it, I think he's a really well choice for that. Now, the big part is, how are they going to do Venom? Like, or do y'all think that they really are going to do him in the third act of the movie, that we're only going to see him go full Venom for a little bit, and throughout most of the movie
I think this is going to be like a 2-part movie, honestly, because the way the trailer is, it's more horror than anything.
I feel like the biggest horror part of the movie is, like, I'm guessing what we show us in the beginning, when he first get attached to the symbiote. So like the biggest horror aspect of it is it bonding to him, and they can go over the change of it and actually bust down the facility. That's probably the biggest.
I'm going to stop you right there for a second there, Op. I'm going to have to slap Jay Fawns, because he says he wants to see someone exude more masculinity for Venom, and he said someone like Michael Cera. I'm going to slap this dude now.
Yeah, I think the biggest horror aspect is the symbiote bonding to him, like actually going through his changes, actually bonding with it, and actually busting out a facility. That's probably the horror aspect.
My theory for the movie is he's a journalist, of course. He's a journalist, and he finds some stuff, and he starts researching it, and it leads him to the lab, and things go from there.
Yeah,
we might see Venom like good 2-3 times this whole movie. That's what I'm thinking.
I want to know: is this is its own story, or is this?
It's his own story.
It takes place on Spider-Man first. This is where it gets conflicting, because the fact of there's been reports that it's supposed to start its own Sony Spider-Man universe kind of thing, and it's not going to have any ties to the MCU, which we know. But there are still talks that supposedly Tom Holland Spider-Man is supposed to appear in there.
That doesn't make
that's where the conflicting. Yeah,
that wouldn't make any sense for this movie,
he's
dude.
Young, and he's super old. Like that. Yeah, that doesn't make any sense.
So like
years ahead.
Tom Holland's this jokester,
depending on which version of Eddie Brock or how they do the storyline, there is still a way that they can do, connect it to Peter Parker with it, but I do agree that it isn't the Eddie Brock that, you know, is a journalist at the same time as Peter at the Daily Bugle, but there is still a way they could do that on a few separate storylines, because there are some universes where Eddie's much older than Peter and still gets bonded with the Venom. However, it's all over the place right now with rumors and unconfirmed. Well, like they said, we know it's not supposed to be a part of the MCU, but they're making references and teases into the MCU and things, and supposedly Tom Holland might appear in it, and a lot of things we don't know. And I think that's the biggest thing that's causing a lot of buzz about it as well, is we don't know how it's going to tie in, if it is or if it's not.
Did you see Kevin Feige's face when the lady that's in charge of Sony's side, she's like, yeah, they're basically in the same universe, and his face, man. If you
what are you talking about? What are you talking about? Like, no, don't say that.
It's like, do you understand how this works? It's like you guys signed a deal, Spider-Man's in the MCU. They're different, and that's why, you know, talking about Tom Holland being in this movie doesn't make any sense. Disney's not going to let that happen, dude. It would just be a mind fuck, a cluster fuck for people to think about it. They're like,
well, wrench in your plan, basically.
You know, it's just like, it's like, if this Spider-Man's in this universe, then why isn't Venom in the MCU? And they don't want Venom over there or whatever. This Venom, this is a rated R horror type movie. Let it be its own thing. Plus, he's going to be an anti-hero, right? He's going to be going up against Carnage, if I heard that correctly. So
it's too early for Carnage.
Yeah, so from some of the rumors and talks about what people have seen and what's come out, is that there is supposed to be a doctor in this facility that gets infected with another part of the symbiote that is extracted because they're pulling the symbiote seeds. And he dies, but he's not really dead because the Carnage symbiote is still in his body. But after he's gone, he doesn't show up until the end of the movie, and they find out that he's still alive. The rest of the movie is Eddie Brock trying to escape, and the Venom symbiote fighting the other smaller symbiotes that are created from him.
I want a serial killer Carnage.
Huh?
Yes, and that's my big thing about it, is that they have to do, like, that's what Carnage is that people forget or don't even know that the symbiotes are partly bonded to the mental aspects of their hosts. When the Venom symbiote bonded with Eddie Brock, Venom had already bonded with Peter, and he wanted to drive Peter to keep using him, but when Peter ripped off the symbiote and tried to get rid of it, it found Eddie Brock, and Eddie Brock was just as well as obsessed with Peter Parker. And when the symbiote bonded with him, they were both obsessed with Peter Parker and Spider-Man to find out that they want to be better. They want to take everything from Spider-Man and Peter. Whereas when the Carnage symbiote came to Earth, it bonded with a serial killer that was on death row, and when he was being electrocuted, saved the dude from being killed, and they went and just completely started murdering everyone for the sheer fact of they wanted to murder.
But yeah, real quick about I guess the whole movie with Venom busting out facility. I'm really not feeling that at this point. Are you saying the whole movie? I know it might be a rumor. Are you saying the whole movie is gonna try and break out the facility?
I think part of it is that he finds a symbiote, and then they're hunting the symbiote and find him. And then they want to test on him and see what the symbiote is doing to the host. And they're trying to extract the symbiote seeds. Because remember, in the planet of the symbiotes, they took Venom symbiote and pulled out what are called the seeds within the symbiote, which they're able to use to clone other symbiotes, which created some of the smaller ones that we know, such as Anti-Venom and a few others.
Okay. Because I was hearing, like, if the whole movie is just him in a facility, that's gonna be a little wonky for me. It's like, I don't know how I feel about that. But if it's part of it, that's cool.
Yeah. So, like I said, it's all up in the air right now, and that teaser has me intrigued because I want more, because I do love Venom. And after Sam Raimi handled him and what he did with Topher Grace, like, obviously we know how much Sam Raimi did not like Venom, and how set out he was to kind of do him horribly. I really want them to knock it out.
Oh,
Yeah.
stupid.
Yeah, but Sam Raimi has come out saying that he hates Venom as a villain because of the fact that he's so overdone and all this. He wanted to focus really more on Sandman and everything else. That's why when they had him shoehorn in Venom, we got the hour of weird Spider-Man dancing in the middle of the street acting like an emo dude.
So you want a more character-driven villain in the movie instead of Venom?
Yeah,
Okay.
exactly.
For me, like only concern in the movie is like how do you do the design of Venom? Because I don't want like those skinny, scrawny Venom, like a more big, bombastic Venom they have in the comics as well. So hopefully they actually nail that too.
And with Tom Hardy's natural build, he's a built
yeah,
dude. A big, broad dude. So I think when it comes to them doing the CGI of having the symbiote, you know, kind of on his body and kind of slinging out its tendrils, I think we'll see him a little bit bigger. Yeah, definitely. What do you think there, Lemon?
What I mean, all right. Do you think they're gonna give us the giant Venom like from the video games?
I don't think he's gonna be overly hulking that kind of Venom. I think he's gonna be bigger than he is. And like I said, you've got to look at how built Tom Hardy is. I know he slimmed down a little bit for this movie, but if you look at how he was as Bane and Batman, you can get an idea of his size.
Yeah, he's a little guy. That's what. And Bane wasn't supposed to be that little either. So,
but he's also he was small, but he's also a built dude. Like he was just,
you know, Bane is supposed to overtower Batman. I mean, that eye to eye stuff doesn't work for me.
Yeah, he wanted more realistic Bane in that.
Yeah, you know, I think he did a great job as Bane, but you know, when I saw the movie, even though I loved it, I'm like, Bane is not that small.
I mean,
you know what I'm saying?
It's better than like
even
I get where we had. Yeah, we had massive hulking Bane that was on drugs all the time. However, I didn't want another, you know, dumbed down, stupid henchman Bane like we got way back in the 90s.
Oh, you mean?
Okay.
Yeah.
Let's bring that one up.
The neon Batman movies?
Yep. With the bat nipples.
Yeah. Whoa. I mean, I'm gonna do a good job with the CG and the character. I really hope they ain't not really trying to like do no guy in a suit and then mask over him. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Like Planet of the Apes or Green Lantern. I want them to do a real solid job. At least give him some height because that guy is short. So I don't want to have no hopes. But I don't want them to ruin it, man, because I don't really know that much about. I know the simple things about Venom. So for a person like me, when I go sit down, I want to be pulled into the movie. Give me a history, give me a little kickback on what I already know, and then grow on that. Please don't give me no nonsense, because I liked the Spider-Man. I liked Spider-Man's Venom. I did. People didn't like it, but I thought he was cool and I thought he was crazy. That's why I liked it. And he looked fantastic. His mouth was incredible. The teeth was crazy, but I don't know.
Yeah, it's just the way that we were seeing more of Topher Grace instead of Venom, because he was in the suit for a little bit and had full on Venom, but a lot of the part of they kept ripping off, you know, Peter's mask and ripping and having Venom take his mask off, and we just had that awkward high pitched like obsession, not what you would have that menacing sort of feel from Venom. That was
all I could think of was that 70s show, dude. Yeah. Like that's all I thought about.
It's like Eric was finally decided to fight back, and yet he's just unintimidating.
See his dad come in there and slap him around, that's all I thought about, dude.
X-Bot, that's hashtag not my Venom.
Yeah, that's true.
But like I said, I'm definitely intrigued for it because I do love Venom, and that teaser definitely left me wanting to see what they're gonna do next. Now, speaking of other big trailers and things that are doing the teasers right, Deadpool 2 put out its new teaser trailer, and we finally got to see Josh Brolin fully souped up as Cable, and as usual Deadpool fashion, they ripped on as much as they could as soon as we saw him being serious, had the green screen arm on, and they had to poke fun at Justice League and the whole Superman mustache thing, and then everything you'd expect from it. And then when they finally did show it off, so many teases on what's looking good. The action is great. The characters look phenomenal. I'm excited for what they have. We saw in the plane what looks to be X-Force, because Deadpool had Domino, and they're stating that Domino is supposed to be the secret weapon, the big shebang that they're going to pull out. We saw Terry Crews is standing next to him. We don't know what character he's supposed to be. And in the background, a lot of people saw a dude behind Terry Crews that supposedly looks like Starcrasher, which is one of the interesting characters that's in Deadpool's band of mercenaries for
X-Force.
Yep.
X-Force.
So a lot of people think that they're going to show off the basis for the X-Force movie, which Ryan Reynolds is supposed to be help writing along with after Deadpool for this. And I think that if they are going to do the X-Force movie, which we already know, that now would be the best place to put the foundation for what's going to be coming up in that. Because we know that Josh Brolin and Zazie Beetz for Domino is supposed to be in the X-Force movie as well. What did y'all think about the trailer? Did anyone see it?
Yeah, I love it.
Yeah.
I love
it too.
All right.
You know what's the best part about that trailer?
What's the best part about that trailer?
Fuck it up. It's the best part of that trailer, because buying Fox or whatever they're going to be doing over there, you listen, I don't want no Disney influence on no R movies.
Oh, yeah.
Please don't do that to us. You know,
but they did say
they know better.
They did say they're going to need
they do not. No, they do not. They will take something and flip it PG-13 in a minute.
Well, Deadpool is still rated R, right?
Yeah, it's a radar.
Hey, we Gucci over here.
Yeah. They came out and said they're going to keep it R too. So
that's what I wanted. Please,
they're not touching it. And we gone out on last show before that they're keeping the X-Men universe separate from the MCU, and we do know that Disney does have their own studio that's done they're rated R films. They're more extreme films. They're not going to have the big Disney logo, but they're still affiliated for them to have that basis for those projects. So I still think that because they are still going to use the Marvel logo like they do in Deadpool, as well with the X-Men. They'll be able to, once they pull that over, but it's not going to have the big Disney like we would expect in the front of like the other MCU movies, but they are going to be associated with their adult oriented studio that does those rated R movies. But it is still great to be able to see those kind of go back and forth. I'm just glad that they're not messing with it, because I think Ryan Reynolds was born to play that character. There's no one I could see that could encompass what Deadpool is more than him, and having him write a lot of that is perfect. Like, don't step on what works. That's my big thing. Is we saw what happened when they try to get too involved with
Age of Ultron.
Age of Ultron, exactly. This is working. Don't interfere with it.
They can't be that stupid to interfere with it, because they didn't know if they mess it up. That just lost money right there for them.
Exactly.
As well.
And the best thing is that movie did so much with so little of a budget, because Fox kept pulling money from the project and their budget, and yet they still knocked it out of the park with them trying to basically shit on the project and take as much as they could back from them, and they sold it phenomenally well and made so much off of it.
Yeah, bro.
Like that's the thing that they need to do, is that the trailer is just phenomenal. It's exactly what you expect out of it.
They perfectly nailed this Deadpool universe. It's over the top, it's crazy, it has enough action, it has enough humor with it as well. It's perfect.
Exactly. And it has their teases and their marketing campaign have always been so well done. It's exactly what you'd expect, the overtopness, like back in October or November when we got the Bob Ross trailer and they did the setup for the festivities for Thanksgiving. Like that entire like 30 seconds.
But then
Yeah,
they ran for Superman in the phone booth too. That was great.
oh yeah, making fun of that during the Logan trailer. Yeah,
Yeah.
it was great, and like they've always done it right. Like who could sit there for 2 minutes and do a better skit of someone as calm and serene as Bob Ross while making nothing but whack off jokes.
Only Deadpool.
Yep, exactly.
If anyone else was too cheesy, it would come off right.
Yeah,
Deadpool, so he
it would, and it's great to do that. Like it's marketing campaign is smart and well done, and definitely a lot of I definitely think it's one of the unique ones because very few movies could do what Deadpool does. Like honestly, there's very few anything that can kind of do the marketing campaign that they're doing with Deadpool.
Even breaking the fourth wall, that's as some people might write up. It's not as easy as it seems. You can really mess it up quite easily.
Exactly, and yeah, because look at the Bob Ross trailer alone with that. Like that one, the jokes in there are well written, and the reactions with the fourth wall breaks is phenomenal in that. Because like when he starts with the painting and he looks at it and he's just like, this, the world is yours to make and break as you want. And he looks at it, he's like, holy fuck.
Yeah. Cascading white powder. God, cocaine.
Exactly. And then two seconds later, when he's drawing on it with the brown, and he looks back at it, he freaks out. He's like, "Oh my god, what's that?" Like, yeah, it's smart marketing because of the fact that it's unique, and there's very few that can replicate that formula.
Yes. So let's get into this article about saying it's too much over the top.
Yeah, so there was an article that came out, and this is, I believe, the article is from the Washington Post, and
the writer, know that's a problem right there,
right? The writer of the article stating that he's absolutely hyped up for Deadpool 2. He wants it to come out. He's anxious for it, and then he goes on in the article to talk about how the marketing is killing the buzz for it. Like they're doing so much with it that they just want it to be out and done with. Like
I feel like like that first part of the article saying he's such a big fan of it, just like the cover basis, just like to save his ass when he goes into it.
But
like, wait, guys, I like the thing, but this is why I don't like it. Like, come on now.
Because he said he the way he puts is that the first movie coming out with the marketing that they did for it was the little movie that could, because of all the trouble that it went through. They said this movie is gonna do well. It's sold. It's gonna sell, and all this and that. But he said that there's so much to the marketing and everything that they're doing that it's starting to become too much for too many people. I completely disagree with that because
where is he getting this information from?
Yeah, it's just like he just reached right up there and pulled out that little fortune cookie that says this marketing is trash. And he's like, yes, it is.
If anything, it shows how much they care about the character in the movie.
Exactly. But why would you wrap up the marketing for the second movie and the first one did so well? You would take it to the next level.
And it's not like these are like generic ass trailers. These trailers don't have anything to do with the movie. Damn near, they're just fun.
Yeah, perfectly playing to Deadpool's mythos. That's what
exactly. It is. And they're doing so much with it that it's great because look at the Deadpool Twitter account that was live tweeting during the Super Bowl. Like that was hilarious. And like one of the tweets that was great was, God, I love pink. And not just the pop singer, because my second favorite shade of red, it's also the color of people's outsides. And that lady biker gang from Greece. #DP the SB. Like they're smart with what they're doing. Not saying it's too much is a fallacy because they're playing to what makes that character that character. They're doing it smart. Every one of the trailers have been such a big play on that they're hilarious. Like no one can replicate Bob Ross in any of his essence, and yet in those 2 minutes they encapsulated what makes Bob Ross interesting while also making fun of it. Like, and then the fact of before the Logan trailer, they were making fun of old phone booths being the chasing port for superheroes and making a play on that. Like, there's so much that they're doing right that makes it work.
Yeah, this dude, he just wanted clicks. He's right off the Deadpool hype for that time.
Yeah, I definitely agree. And I'm just sitting there like, if you're a true Deadpool fan, you would appreciate the smart marketing that they're doing, because this is exactly what he would do.
Yeah. So what do you guys think, Salty and 108? What do you think about this article?
I mean, marketing is marketing, right? If the first Deadpool was under budget and they didn't have a lot to work with, I mean, the second one they're gonna step it up a notch, So I think this movie just sells itself for the most part. Like, I think they've been doing a good job with what they have. Ryan Reynolds, he's awesome, and I just like some of the photos that they've had. Did you guys see that one where he's like doing a photo? It's kind of like a model and with the water cascading down, but it's bullets. I think that was genius.
They're recreating Flashdance.
Yeah. So it's just, I think that they know what they're doing with this franchise, and I like the direction it's going in. I love the fact that they just know who they are and they play to that audience. Deadpool is a unique character. It's one, like you guys said, you can't have other characters doing what Deadpool does because it just wouldn't work, right? So Josh Brolin is a badass. I just want to throw that out there.
Oh yeah,
he's gonna be a badass Thanos, and he's gonna be a badass Cable, and it takes the badass dude in real life to pull that off, and he just has that bravado to him. So
he really does. He's doing double duty with that, and he's one of the few actors that's going to be in 2 movies in the same month and the same
colossal movies at the same time.
Yeah.
He's definitely make some bank.
He's putting in some serious work, and they
he
both
really is.
major
really
blockbuster movies. I think they're doing the right thing with Deadpool. I mean, even the first teaser when Homeboy being shot in the alley, it takes forever to change. First of all, Deadpool, the first movie, was hilarious. You know what I'm saying? But it kept the action enough. We know he's not a A-listed superhero with powers and everything, but the idea that they gave you in the first movie, anything they have shown after that leading up to the second movie has been in the same category. We've all watched every preview and had the same feeling. So it's no change, more comedy, and it just looks good, man. Especially the last one with the with Cable. That was crazy. I thought that was
exactly
dope. They just keeping you there. Great marketing. Great.
And I gotta give a shout out to Xbox, because he makes a great point, is that the humor in the trailers are definitely Deadpool personality to a T, and that they're showing you a lot of the movie without showing you the movie marketing, and that is the perfect way to give it or to explain it. Is it showing you what you'd expect without showing you anything from it? It's playing to that humor and what you'd expect out of the movie without having to show the movie. And I think that's what makes it so unique.
It's perfect for Deadpool because he's naturally all over the place anyway. So you can just take clips out the movie and put them in the trailer. It'll be fine.
Exactly.
It won't break the movie or anything.
Yeah, and when you hear some of his monologues while he's talking to himself, because he's always doing that, and some of the characters kind of respond to be like, "What are you on?" I think that's great. And we saw that in Homecoming, where Peter is always talking to himself or always talking, and we saw that part of that is because of the suit, and he has that introspectiveness and humor that gets added to that extra layer by having Karen, the voice in the suit. And we see that here with Peter or with Deadpool, because he's talking to himself in the audience and everyone around him doesn't understand, and they're just like, what are you saying? I think that's a uniqueness of its own as well.
Yeah, they're definitely doing Deadpool right. I'm glad they're getting a sequel to this. It's definitely a good movie. And this dude's arco is just an ass hat. It's going north from that.
Batman versus Superman. Wonder Woman and Injustice. They would have to give it a sequel. You got a C-level superhero beating out other people's A-list.
Exactly.
Crazy.
Yep. Exactly.
Yeah, that would be just like, wow, they didn't do a sequel, but that movie stunned me. And he was the same character in X-Men. What was that? Origins.
Yeah, and that's what kind of drove them to really do it right after that.
Yeah, he definitely fits that character, even though he messed up my Blade Infinity movie, but or Infinite or whatever you want to call that flop. He definitely did a great job as that dude, man. I don't know about y'all, but I like Green Lantern.
Yeah, I enjoyed Green
I thought
Lantern,
it
but
was
a part
alright.
of it was
Yeah, I did too.
It was okay.
But the issue came down to the writing of it. Like his portrayal of Hal Jordan was well, and I enjoyed the CGI in it, but a lot of it came down to the writing of the story that was off-putting for people, and what kind of killed it. But since you mentioned Blade, you know that Wesley Snipes came out that he's not opposed to doing a fourth Blade movie.
Of course, he's gonna say that.
Look at Black Panther right now. Come on.
I mean, I shot DVDs with this guy back in the days, but who else can do Blade? They would really have to go out their way, man, to do Blade right. And this guy has Blade on lock, and he didn't even like the third movie. That's what's bad. People like, it's all right. I'm like, Wesley Snipes didn't like it. How did you like it? But I wish he did a fourth version of that Blade. They gotta redeem that 30-second fight with Dracula.
Hey, I think now is the perfect time for him to make that resurgence back, man. Like I said, I think Blade is definitely one of those characters that deserves to get deserves a second chance and a redux, as well as we're already seeing them doing that with Spawn, which I think is exactly what they need to do.
I mean, man, that's another character that had a great first movie and then just died off. An excellent HBO series and then died off. Then he went to make toys. Todd McFarlane's a weirdo. I'm sorry, that's my guy, but come on, man.
He is definitely one of those eccentrics that make you wonder a little bit. Yeah. But at least he's coming back for that Spawn remake, and he said that he's gonna do Spawn the way he should have been done. You know, not talk, all action, and very bored to the max.
I mean, the first Spawn was gangster. They were shooting everybody. People in tuxedos. Airports was blowing up. I mean, what else do you want? The devil's minions fought all in the alley, killing the bums. I mean, what else are you gonna do? They just need to make a sequel, man. And he had Michael Jai White, the perfect person for that. You got a great action star that can really act.
Yo,
built for the job, and then y'all just leave it alone. And was ahead of his time. Dude really transformed into a motorcycle Spike. Do y'all know how hard that was back then?
Oh yeah, definitely animation technology.
And the fact that they had the little demon's face on the motorcycle while he was driving.
Right. I mean, his dude had the Superman cape on steroids flying through the city. Dude was the man. Then they just dissed us and said, all right, that's enough.
If you look at it now, though, like, man, it is definitely one of those movies that it's still great because it is a good movie. But, man, the graphics do not hold up. Like, it is absolutely, like, if you look at his cape when he's, like, coming into that big ballroom and how you just see the cape kind of go over the whole place, it looks like a really cheesy, like, soup-looking texture in Blender.
Yeah, I think I'll watch those movies again.
But I definitely think they could definitely do it much, much better now with everything.
Oh, the technology is definitely there. Just need to get the good story together.
Oh, definitely. And I'm just glad that Todd McFarlane's coming back and that they're giving it that attention and rebirth that it definitely needs.
What year are we looking at for that?
From what he's saying right now, possibly 2020.
Not bad.
Yeah, they haven't put anything in stone right now, but from some of the talks, it looks like 2020 would be the year that we see Spawn finally make his comeback.
Yeah, but you know what we can get high for, Jesus?
Oh, absolutely. You know what we're gonna get high for?
The second season of Academia. Let's go.
Yeah. So me, you up here are and everyone here is definitely big nerds, and especially for us, we are absolutely anime otakus to the highest degree, and we have come out multiple times that on this podcast, as well as our logo, how much we love My Hero Academia, and we already knew that the third season was already confirmed and that it was going to be coming out in the spring season of this year. Well, now we finally have a date set in stone on when it's coming out, and it's It's gonna air officially on April 7th of this year, and I cannot get more hyped than anything because I love this show so much. It's just a phenomenal, well done show.
Do you know how difficult it was to avoid the damn manga? Not to spoil myself for this show.
Yeah, I did the same thing. I have not read the manga yet. I'm like,
I spoiled a little bit for myself, but I had to cut off.
I've gone back and reread what's been shown in the series. I have yet to go far. The only thing I know is I actually know what Toga's powers are. I'm not going past that.
Yeah, don't say anything.
Yeah, don't say because anything. It's gonna blow you away. Like, man, I'm at a loss for words because this anime is probably one of the best in such a long time. It's done shonen so right, and those who don't know what shonen is, it's a genre that's made for young boys, as it would be. But battle shonens are the biggest things. There were like Naruto, One Piece, Bleach back in the day, and then of course, you know, the biggest one is Dragon Ball. They're big fighting shonens or big shows that fit that genre, and this one has to be the biggest global phenomenon to come out in so long. And the writing in it, the attention to detail, the visuals of it, the storytelling is so well done, as well as the work that goes into the music for it. Like, every time I hear You Say Run, I immediately start welling up. I don't care. That song is so good, and it's done to so many beautiful scenes that are just amazing. It gets me worked up. The characters in there are so well written.
Not gonna lie, I play that song like good 30 times a day.
Yeah, I do. I do. Like,
completely transparent.
The Nomu and All Might fight in season 1, it's probably the best fight besides the tournament arc, of course. But that one, hearing that song play and hearing All Might's speech, it just gets me every time. Like,
gets you riled up.
It is. It gets me riled up, but it's just such a beautiful song, and hearing his words and his speech on everything, it hits something special within. You know, Salty, as someone who's a casual and very not so much big into anime, what do you know of this series and a lot of the hype around it?
Yo, I honestly don't know a damn thing, dude. So I'm sorry.
I'm with him. But you just told me.
Yeah.
It's definitely a good first anime to hop into. It's not as weird as the other ones. It's like a really good one to hop into.
It really is, especially if you haven't watched anything in a long time. It is one of those ones that will hook you because the characters are so genuine, and the way that they're written, that it gets you in a certain spot. Like, the main character Deku is one of the most flawed and beautifully imperfect characters for a main character for so long, because he's not special. He's completely unspecial compared to the rest of the world, which is what makes him unique. And when he does finally meet and get what can put him on the level of everyone else, he can't control it. He's known as the losing hero. And I think that works because of the fact that even when he wins, it comes at such a great cost. More so than Goku, because nothing ever affects that man because he can get away with everything.
He gets tired at the end of the fight. It's like, oh, that was definitely tough.
Or he dies and is able to just come back because Dragon Balls. Anyways, this one actually has lasting effects on him, and it's phenomenal. Like, it has 2 seasons out right now, about 38 episodes. They're on, you can stream them on pretty much anywhere. I definitely recommend the subs, because it's the best one. Though I do appreciate the dub of this, because the characters and the voice actors definitely do great with the English translation of it, and they do well in their aspect. There's just certain off-puts and personalities for me and the way that they portray some characters, but it is definitely one to see. If you have Hulu, you can watch it on Hulu.
Dub's trash. Just throwing it out there right now. All dub is trash.
You don't like that,
man?
Nah, I'm just not a big fan of dub anymore. Like, I'm completely hooked on subbed.
See, I'm into dub for some animes, as well as
only Dragon Ball for me. Everything else I can't do it.
See, like, I watched Overlord
season 1 for me.
Like, here's the thing. Like, right now, Overlord season 2 started. I'm watching the sub. I don't like it. I watched the first season and dub, and it was phenomenal. It was a well done dub. And I'm waiting for season 2. I'm waiting for season 2 to come out in dub so that way I can watch it.
Okay, I'll definitely check that one out.
Yeah, like they had the whole first season like on Hulu for that one, and the dub is like really excellent in it. And you know, there's just some, at least I'm in that camp where there's some English dubs that are well, and there's some that just aren't. And My Hero is one of those ones where I'm in the middle of. I prefer the sub, but the dub is phenomenal for people who don't like to have to read or deal with the Japanese voices. The English dub, they do a lot of work in it. They're phenomenal and great at it. But for me, just the way that some of the personalities fit and the way that they do the voices is off-putting.
For me, sub is king because some of these animes, the dialogue is so cheesy. I can't stand hearing English language. So it's easy for me to accept it if I read it in English. I just can't hear my own language. I can read it in mine.
Yeah, and like the biggest thing for me, at least, that I find a little bit hilarious about the English dub is if just knowing Chris Sabat is the voice actor for All Might. I love Chris Sabat. He's phenomenal. But every time I hear All Might really start going off, I just think of a Vegeta who's just trying too hard to be nice. Like if you watch the Nomu versus All Might fight and hear him talking in English, it seriously just sounds like Vegeta the whole time.
It's a little off-putting too.
Yeah. Xbot said you could hear the dedication in my voice.
I'm sold. I'm sold on that.
But definitely,
it's one of those ones that have become so big and came out of nowhere. When I first found the first season, it was like halfway through the first season, back in 2016 when it came out in the spring. And when I was watching it, dude, it floored me so quickly, and I fell in love immediately and just couldn't get enough. And just seeing how big it's grown and gotten, it's one of those series and shows that come out once every so often that just deserves all the praise that it's getting, that it's doing so well. The creator has worked on so many different franchises and knows how to write, knows how to build the universe, knows how to build the characters. He's doing it well, and I think that's what's the biggest praise for it, is that he's really taking the time to nurture the series and write it out the way that it should be, and to give it the details and the growth, because it's not just about the main character, it's about the class of characters that he's with in the school. And there's like a roster about at least 16 different students, and each one of them are slowly getting their time to shine. Like we see them in the background, but they've slowly grown across both seasons, and we're going to see more in season 3, you know, this in April. And I'm glad that we're seeing that, because there's so few shows that have such large ensemble casts that do those characters justice, because a lot of them just end up sitting in the background the whole time. They're not given any sort of attention. They're just fodder. Look at Naruto. Look at Tenten. All right, probably one of the coolest girls when she came out back in the early episodes, and she was completely forgotten about after, you know, the tuning exams. Like she had one job in Shippuden, and she messed that up. Like her on-screen,
Soccer should have been forgotten.
Don't tell that.
I'll stand by that.
Yep, I agree.
But for anyone who's still on the fence with Hero Academia, we're all comic book fans here. This is pretty much a comic book anime done right in its own little aspect as well. So if you even have one inkling of trying it out, just try for that. It's comic book related.
It really is one that is definitely worth giving a try. So definitely, since you haven't seen, you know nothing of it, I'm telling you, brother, you're not gonna be disappointed at all by giving this a chance.
Oh yeah, I'll check it out for sure.
Yeah, you too, there, Lemon. It's definitely one that you would absolutely love, because the fights are well done, the visuals and everything on it.
Info so I can start following, because this sounds amazing, man. I definitely need a new thing to get into. It sounds crazy. Sounds like they put a lot of work into it.
They really did, and I'm rewatching both seasons right now, literally getting excited for April for season 3. Like I'm already rewatching both seasons to get set up for the upcoming season right now. Now, with that being said, and our gushing kind of done, here's a little discussion that I want to bring up because I've seen this in a lot of different kind of shows and things lately. What is a show that you watched that was, just phenomenal, blown away straight out the gate, and as it went on, it was great. It had great buildup, and then when the ending came, it was just, flat. It wasn't a blowout, but it wasn't disappointing. It's just not what you would have expected. Did anyone have that kind of sensation with a show before? Like, it doesn't have to be just an anime. It could be any show that you've watched.
Can it be for an ongoing show?
Yeah, if there's an ongoing show, yeah, definitely one.
The Flash CW one. I can't. It started out amazing for me, but like season 2 was good, but season 3 and all, I was like, it's getting a little repetitive for me. And like towards the end, I forget what season was Saboteur. Like towards the end, towards the end, I couldn't give a fuck anymore. I was like, just hurry up, end this shit already. Let's move on to the next thing.
For me, last season of The Walking Dead, that has to be one of the weakest endings and season possible in the series, which I'm not complaining because the show is amazing, but come on, man. We all tired of Negan. He should have been dead 7 episodes ago. God damn.
He ain't dying no time soon.
Yeah, listen, I see that, man. Now they living in sewers. I'm like, come on. I was very disappointed. February 25th. They're going to have to redeem some of that. Because
I stopped at season 3 Walking Dead, so y'all can spoil anything for me. I don't care at this point.
I think I stopped watching The Walking Dead after like halfway through season 5, where Beth died in the hospital. I think that was the last thing I saw.
No. Oh my God.
I don't even know what season they are. I don't even know what season on that. What season are they on?
I don't know, dude.
I got my wife in the house. Carl!
Carl! Guns kill people, Carl.
I'm basically... Yo, this is why I like that show. When he got tired of his father, when we all was, when he was acting like a punk, ready, he's tapped out, he basically called him a pussy to his face, like, man up. Where's the real Rick?
Where's my real dad?
But you know, Rick is a boss now. He's a boss now.
He's being the boss because when he was farming and he didn't want to kill zombies, I'm like, what? But
people too. No,
it made his son. They built into his character, and made his son stronger. They hit so many points in that movie. It made so many points in that series. It draws you in. You understand what I'm saying? It makes you care about every.
I'm really too attached to a lot of characters in Walking Dead. I really am.
I mean, when Glenn died, man, me and my wife was looking like, what just happened? So
one of the best characters in the whole show. I was like, what?
Dude, Glenn was my boy, man. Glenn was my boy.
Right, I remember he was a sucker in the beginning. All he did was run, get cars, and steal shit.
Man, he had the boots on, man.
Right, and he became a gangster.
He had the boots on.
Fight back now. I got something to live for.
At least he got some. I don't like anybody else. Redeem factor. He at least got some apocalypse.
Yeah, and Rome just brought up something in the chat, and I want to agree with him. Is that the Strain series from FX was such a good show. It really was. The build up throughout the season was phenomenal because the fact of the way that they portrayed vampires in that show was so badass. Like I loved every aspect of it. But I do agree, at least in the season 1. The ending was just weak as hell. Like compared to the rest of the build-up.
What is this? I was like, what is this? And then season 2 is terrible. Everything else on Strain is trash. Garbage.
Yeah. And that made me sad because when I heard about that show and who was directing and everything, I was just like, oh my God, this is fucking amazing. It was dope as hell. And then the ending was just some letdown. I'm just like, what is this?
I think he doesn't direct it no more. I think he just dropped it off like fuck it. I'm not.
See ya. I'm out.
I do agree.
I love that show, man. Don't do that. Yo, no. I mean, that was one of the only shows where the good guys was completely depleted. They really had no more options. I mean, he killed his son like nothing. I mean, y'all didn't think that was crazy?
Yeah, but then it ended
son
bad.
ass.
It ended bad.
Yeah, he killed that dude though. Like that stomp out was like Rodney King. It was vicious. I don't know, man. I love this stream, man. I loved it. I'm sorry.
The other season
I never
was
watched
just
it, so I gotta try it.
I don't know.
Yeah, I loved it. I mean, when they started farming people, damn. This is this is regular TV, regular cable. They was farming people. And babies.
Yeah, but FX is one of those channels that's very unique because they do a lot of experimental shows
and over the top.
Over the top. Because look at Archer, man. Archer's their biggest animated show, and that one's all over the place. Thanks to Benjamin and that. And I love Archer. Archer's so
I love
great.
Archer, man.
I never watched a single episode of that show.
You got to.
Mike, mute him right now. He's muted.
Kick him off the show, man. Kick him off.
He's crazy. Archer's
I just never could get into it.
Like, smash out the
I
chat.
don't know.
Yeah, Axe Cop bored me though. I can never get into Axe Cop though.
Yeah, Axe Cop, is written by an 8-year-old, right?
Oh, they're serious?
Yes, the creator and the creator and the animator of that show, his son came up with the idea for Axe Cop, and he kind of lets him write it, and he just draws it and animates it for him. That's why it's kind of like a cult show, but he does. It's a big thing that's gotten a lot of attention because of the fact that it is a show that he made that is written by his son.
Well,
like, I find it hilarious.
Little kid, man, be nice.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure you weren't making that good of a story when you were 8 years old, sir.
Hey, maybe. Never know. Maybe they're meant to be big lights, so you know.
You're probably taking L's in the sandbox, is what you was doing. Salty, you got a show that you were in love with all the way through that kind of fell flat for you?
Hey, honestly, this might not be popular, but Luke Cage.
Oh yeah.
Man, dude,
Yeah,
I was digging that show. I was digging it. Cottonmouth is a badass as a villain, and all of a sudden he gets snuffed out, and then
Stryker takes
Diamondback. That fight with him seems so fucking cheesy with his suit.
It was cheesy as hell.
Yeah, it's not an unpopular opinion. Cottonmouth literally was a compelling villain for Luke Cage, and Diamondback had the build up, but just the way that they put him at the end just kind of was a bit of a shoehorn.
It was weird, man. It almost felt like someone made that final fight scene on YouTube or some shit.
But what we're saying is Luke Cage is awesome, but it's just the way that they got rid of Cottonmouth, who was such a good villain, all the way through the show, and then kind of replaced him with Diamondback. And Diamondback didn't have that same drive. Like he was compelling.
His seemed petty.
But Diamondback was a great antagonist and that driving force all the way up until the point where they kind of got rid of Cottonmouth, and then Stryker was doing his thing. That was the issue, is that he at that point it was petty, it wasn't driven.
Yeah, because I was totally invested in the Cottonmouth storyline and the way his character went about stuff, and I could he truly was that guy you can look at. And then man, I don't know, man, he just died, and then I lost it. It went downhill. Like it was like 6 episodes in, and then I don't know. It's one of those things. But hopefully season 2 is has a compelling villain.
No, I agree.
Any show with a superhero, the villain makes the movie. If you don't have a strong villain, I don't care how badass your superhero is, it don't matter. The villain makes the movie. Yep. You have to have over the top, aka when The Dark Knight Returns was which one is the second one in the Dark Knight series?
So Heath Ledger and the Joker.
I mean,
yeah.
right. Even Lex Luger in the first Superman movie, the original, you gotta have a badass, somebody who doesn't care. We're not playing by the rules. I'm taking it to the end. I'm a kill your grandmother in a wheelchair type attitude. It don't matter.
Oh no.
And true. But you have to have that, you know what I'm saying? And you know, when you have a good show, or you know, like Negan is badass. The last badass they had was the General on The Walking Dead. That dude was gangster.
Oh yeah.
You know what I'm saying? That's what pulled you like.
He getting fully disrespectful though.
Right?
He be on some other shit.
He's different. Yeah. He need Ritalin, but
yes.
Like he makes the show. When he beat Glenn with that bat, man, people had fear in their hearts at home. That was crazy. I was looking at all these forums, and dudes was like, I wouldn't know what to do. I would just do what he say. I'm like, TV show. What the hell's wrong with y'all? But that's how it makes you feel. So you got to have a great villain, man. I don't care.
And that's why Daredevil, the first season, was so well done. Is because Kingpin.
He didn't fuck around. He
fucking
did
well
not fuck
done.
around.
Like the actor who portrayed Kingpin made him so compelling because he was one of those villains where it really was that gray area. He wasn't doing it just to be evil. He wasn't doing it out of spite or anything. He honestly thought that what he was doing was right, and he had to do it the way he was doing. He was one of those villains that you can understand where they're coming from, so you can't hate them outright. And the fact that he still had such a big part in season 2 and helping with Frank Castle and everything else is what makes him more compelling, is the fact that he still has so much pull. He was such a good villain compared to some of the others in the Marvel shows on Netflix.
Yeah, he wasn't afraid to get his hands dirty as well.
You know that guy from Kingpin, you know where he came from? You know what movie he was really debuted in to make him famous? Well, he wasn't even famous in the movie. Men in Black. He was the alien.
Oh, really?
Yeah, the one that put the guy, he put the skin on.
Oh, yeah, he was not the farmer.
Nobody even remembered that.
Oh, holy shit.
Mr. Sugarwater.
Yeah, Sugarwater. He came from before CSI and all the other crap he was on. What was that? CSI New York, right? Was that it?
Oh yeah, it was. I remember he was on like a crime show. I do remember that.
No, what is that thing called, man? In New York, the crime show. What is it called?
Oh, Law and Order.
Law and Order, the one with Ice-T on it. That's where he got a Men in Black movie, and he took off.
After Rick and Morty, I can't look at Ice-T to say no more.
Oh my god! OG, damn, Venom in here.
But for me, this was gonna be a little bit different because it's probably gonna be one that not a lot of people know, because this is gonna be hardcore anime fans. But for me, it was a show called Erased. Erased was so compelling throughout because the concept is a college student, 28-year college student, has such a mundane life, and one day when he sees a butterfly, he comes home, finds his mom killed, and finds out and is killed himself. But when he wakes up, he's back into his body when he was an 11-year-old child, and he realizes that he's able to go between the past and the future, because apparently there was a serial killer when he was young that was killing children that he went to school with. And one of the girls that he was in school with died from the serial killer, and he's trying to find a way to save her. And he's kind of living between being a child again to try and save her and figure out what's going on, because he still has the mind of an adult. And he keeps going back into the future and realizing things are still happening the same, and he's trying to figure out what's going on. And it's so compelling throughout this series because you're kind of seeing the growth between him and this girl. Don't worry about the age difference. It's nothing like that. But he's trying to do a lot to save it. And he's actually giving, when you find out about what this girl suffers from, her parents are abusive. She sleeps out in the cold in a basically like a tool shed outside in the snow at night because her parents abuse her. She has no friends, like just this horrible thing, and he's trying to do everything to one, make her life better, give her friends, kind of help her, as well as try and solve the mystery of the serial killer. And when he does find out everything, it builds up into this big confrontation while he's a 10-year-old meets the serial killer, and they have this kind of talk, and then he goes into this coma while he's a kid and wakes up in the future, you know, the same age, and everything that you were hoping from the ending and where it was going to go completely does not go that way. Like, he doesn't end up being with the girl in the future. She ends up dating one of his other friends that was a kid, and everything that had been building up from everyone's relationships throughout the series does not go. He meets the serial killer again when he's older, because the serial killer kind of finds out that he's coming out of his coma, tries to play it off, but they remember. And when they did kind of have their final talk, you know, it was found out, everything shows up. But it was so bittersweet and anticlimactic in what you were hoping that it was going to be building up to. It kind of let me down. It was still a phenomenal show, and it actually has a live action that's on Hulu, and the full series itself is on Hulu as well. But the ending was not what I was hoping for, or anything that you thought it was building up to. And it was kind of, like I said, it was very bittersweet for me, and I really wanted it to do more. But I do see where it's coming from on the ending, but it did not have the hype that I was hoping for throughout the entire series, because it was just so good.
Like, from listening to you about this, I already feel depressed and let down just by only listening to you about this show.
It's such a good it's such a good show though, because it has so much tension. It really is kind of like I wouldn't say horror, but it has an aspect. It's more
suspense,
a thriller. Yeah, suspense or a thriller. And it's a really well done show. It's just that ending was it really was depressing. I would say that. And not depressing in the bad, like, oh my God, this is just horrible kind of depressing. It's just that it was depressing because it wasn't what you thought it was going to be. It didn't have that kind of nice ending that you were thinking that would come of it.
Yeah, I can feel you on that one.
Yeah, but it is definitely still one of those shows I definitely recommend, because it is still just really, really good, and it is still just enjoyable. It's just one of those series or those endings that was very bittersweet and kind of flat for me.
Yeah. So have you listed yours off yet?
No, but mine would probably be Dead Man's Wonderland. Dead Man's Wonderland.
Huh?
Dead Man's Wonderland. Yeah. It's basically because they canceled it, and I didn't know that, and I was like, what the? And at the end, I was like, what the fuck is this? I was like, are we gonna figure out what is going on, or like, is he gonna figure out who killed all his friends and the entire classroom? No, we just see an ending. I was like, oh, this is terrible. I don't know why I watched this. I wasted my time. I wanted to see if he would go crazy or anything like that, but nope, because they canceled it. That's probably the only thing, bro. That was probably the only one in Luke Cage as well. But
to Lord Kaibatsu, who's listening right now, I was talking about Erased, the show Erased. But no, I know where you're coming from, Soul, because I watched Dead Man Wonderland 2, and when it had its end for that series, I'm just like, well, this is a real shite way to end. And I went out and actually found the manga. Turns out, it was canceled, and that where they stopped in the show wasn't even more than like 23 chapters into the manga, and there was still like another 100 after. Like, they removed a big character that wasn't in the show that was so necessary for driving the rest of the series that they wrote themselves into a corner and then just cut it off where it was. Like, if you go and actually read the manga, it gets so much more better because of the other characters that they show, and the story is just phenomenal. It really is well done. But that's a show that's probably never going to get a continuation ever.
I don't know why, because it seems pretty good animated wise and everything. So.
Yeah, it really was good animation wise, but it's just they took out a small character who actually had such big implications for the rest of the story, and it was uh it really had big implications on what they could do with it. Because of that, it didn't have they weren't able to continue with it. It's also my issue with how they did Blue Exorcist, because if you watch the original Blue Exorcist season 1, after like episode 13 or 14, they went their own storyline where they show that both brothers were, you know, demons, you know, and going basically to the end of the series. Well, about a year ago or so, they did that continuation with the Kyoto saga, which is picking up after like episode 13 or 14, and basically everything after that episode from the first series is like retconned. They completely forgot about it, and it's just like, one, the series is there. You're trying to retroactively retcon it and show that the second brother doesn't know that he's also part demon, and yet in the other series you had him fully close out as a demon by the end of the series. Like you that's one of those things about them never going back to another series, and then when they do, having to try and rework it because it doesn't always work out.
Actually, I did see like a couple episodes of Blue Exorcist, the second season. Cause I did watch the first season, and I did notice like, what is going on? He should know that he's part demon. He's like,
yeah, yeah, exactly.
I don't know.
But that was one of those things for me. I was just like, they retconned that entire second half of the first season. So if you want to enjoy Blue Exorcist, after like episode 13 or 14, after the fight with the Mephisto's brother, and that whole scene, everything else you can just skip because it's not going to continue on into the Kyoto saga and go from there.
Sad.
It really is sad because because I was so upset with what they did with Blue Exorcist, I actually went out and found the manga, and I think they're on like chapter 111 or something like that. And it's so good because of the fact of what the other characters in the class are. When you find out more about their backstories and their motivations, it's mind-boggling. Like one of the characters in there is actually a top-tier exorcist, like second to the girl who's training Rin how to use his demon powers, and another one in there is actually a traitor for another organization. Like it's craziness on how much that show had potential, and they squandered it.
Yeah, I might check it out. I definitely might check it out.
Yeah, I could be petty and list Naruto off as one to start off good, but having disappointed at the end.
Don't do that. Don't do that.
Well, also, I have started Boruto, and it's actually pretty good so far. A couple of little episodes.
Shit.
Oh,
that's the only answer we need.
Just skip episodes 1 through 30. That's all the slice of life.
I saw episodes 1 and 2. This skipped like episode 28 or so. That's what I did. But yeah, as soon as get past the life slice episodes, actually start getting their actual ninja missions. Actually, that's what's pretty good.
Yeah, see, that's good.
Yeah,
exactly.
It's definitely a slow start because there's too many of those slice of life episodes for me.
Yeah, but there's nothing wrong with a slow start.
They're in a world with no war. They're living life.
That's true. That is true. Not much going on. It's like everything's slowly building up because we already see all these schemes happening between neighboring villages as well. They're trying to start a war again to like reclaim their honor to their clan and villages. So it's definitely kind of a little slow start.
Yeah, I think a lot of animes that have that slow start definitely have the potential to pick up because like Black Clover is starting to really pick up, and it was going slow. Although they were going at a much slower pace.
I hate that boy voice so much. So
hey, you mean you don't like yelling Asta 24/7?
Man, I want to smack the shit out of him. He is so annoying. Oh,
nah,
you don't
I enjoy it
every time. Relax, bro.
Yeah, I mean, you could say the same thing about Bakugo. He's always yelling. I think
but Bakugo has a deep voice, and his is not like ear piercing.
Oh no,
I don't know. There's certain times where his is pretty grating there. Salty's just like, I don't know anime. I'm just gonna be quiet.
Yeah,
But if I can list off another one, it's actually one episode in the series, the new Godzilla one on Netflix. Like for me, it started off so great, but like towards the middle, I was like, okay, this is all
I
right.
can't watch that Godzilla on Netflix. That shit look crazy.
I lost all interest when I saw like 5 Godzillas pop up. Like, come on, y'all, what y'all doing?
Yo, I enjoyed that Godzilla movie.
It had 5 Godzillas pop up.
Bro, it's 5 Godzillas squatted up at the end. Like, come on, y'all, what are y'all doing? Like, no.
Clone jutsu. Oh, what is this? I just didn't like the CGI. And that's why I was like, you know what? I'm not gonna check out Godzilla.
It didn't bother me till the end when I saw Godzilla close up, like goddamn rock golem. Like, what is this? Like, no.
Yeah,
they took it and put their own spin on it. You know, that's how they do in Japan. Like the Batman. I thought they did a couple of them Batmans pretty awesome, man.
Oh, that new Batman gonna be god like.
Oh yeah.
Did it already come out?
No, not yet. Gotham by Gaslight just came out, and
I heard about that.
I need to watch that because I've heard it's been really good. Salty, what do you think about the new animated Batman movies coming out? Gotham by Gaslight and the new Batman Ninja.
Hey man, I saw the trailer for those and they do look clean, man. I have to say, like, if I'm gonna watch any anime, which I don't, I would definitely have to watch that because I'm a big Batman guy. So I'd like to see that take on Batman. You know, it just looks really, I don't know, it looks awesome. So yeah, that's my take.
Yeah, definitely, and it is one of those ones because I think the Batman Ninja is going to be very unique because one, just the imagination of all the characters as ninja and samurai is already awesome, but the fact that we're going to see the full Bat family, we're seeing Red Hood, Red Robin, we're seeing Damian, we're seeing Nightwing, Batgirl, and of course Batman himself, and then Joker and Gorilla Grodd as a warlord, and we're gonna see Selena like Catwoman in there. Like, it's gonna be awesome, and the animation looks clean in it.
Yeah, I'm waiting for it. I can't wait. I really think it's dope. I haven't really heard anything about the new Batman either, so I need to check that one out too.
Yeah, I've been hearing good things about Gotham by Gaslight. So if you are a Batman fan, definitely check that one out because I believe it takes place in the noir universe where it's more old school steampunk styled Batman. So it's definitely going to be unique because in Gotham by Gaslight, it's Batman going up against Jack the Ripper.
Yeah, I might check that out. I might run it on Voodoo or something like that.
I will definitely be checking it out. Batman's my favorite DC character, so it's going down. Popcorn, Pepsi, and Batman. That's how we doing that right there.
Isn't Gaslight out right now?
It is out right now. So I'm probably gonna have to hit up that Red Box to get that.
Yeah, I'll try to watch it tonight if I can.
Yeah, definitely. But I think we've had a good time tonight. I think tonight was a lot of fun with everyone here. Even though Salty's just like, yo, y'all going super nerd on me. He's like, I can't even get in on that.
Well, he had this segment about Star Wars and
yeah.
Venom.
Yeah, he definitely went in on.
I fanboyed out on Star Wars, man. So.
Yeah, you did. But hopefully, with our talks on some of these animes that you may not have heard of, definitely got your interest. Like, definitely My Hero is definitely one you have to give a shot. Like, it's simply a masterpiece in its own right.
Yeah. I don't know, man. I watch very little TV, so like I'm gaming whenever I have free time, so it would have to be like legit outstanding for me to watch it, because I have a backlog when it comes to TV shows too. So
trust me, bro. But like I said, you are able to binge it because we're all in that binge culture now.
Yeah.
Out, so you're able to do that. But definitely, if you do want to give a chance and jump in there, it's definitely one of those ones to definitely to check out. But tell everyone where they can find you, man. Tell everyone what you do and what we could do.
Saltiest Gaming, 2 words. You can find me on YouTube. We're going to be doing the Saltiest podcast tomorrow, 8 o'clock Eastern. So you can check us out tomorrow. Special guest is the Ashen Luca. I'm sure you guys have heard of her. She's definitely one of the popular figures around the community. So yeah, we're gonna be doing.
Yeah, little munchkin.
Yeah, so we'll be doing that. That'll be lit tomorrow. And I haven't made a lot of content. I'm not gonna lie. It's just I don't put content out there if I don't, I'm not passionate about it. And let's be honest, the news has been a little bit dry lately when it comes to Xbox. So hopefully that picks up, and then we'll get some videos out there. You can find me on Twitter, Saltiest Gaming. The I is a 1, and you can find me on Xbox Live, Saltiest Gaming, 1 word.
All right.
Get those salt shakers ready.
Gotta
That's
get
right.
those salt shakers.
And I definitely enjoyed. I definitely enjoyed being on here. Thanks for having me. Sorry I couldn't talk about anime, but it is what it is.
Oh no, you're fine, man.
There's nothing wrong with it. Anime is starting to become popular, but having that casual perspective, someone who doesn't know it, and getting to hear the passion from the people to be able to get it, that's always a great aspect, to have that outside looking in perspective.
Guys, we forgot something critical. Super's on tonight.
Oh, Super.
We forget Super. We forget Super every night. Thank you, Lord. Happy to this. I'm sorry for mispronouncing your name. We forget Super every Saturday when we go on show.
Hey man, that's because we haven't seen it yet. But yeah, Jeremy about to go ham on everyone. But the boy 17 be putting in that work. Just saying. Yeah.
I hear Xbox guys watching Devilman Crybaby. That's another good anime right there.
Devilman
Definitely one of hardcore ones.
I suggest if you're new to anime, don't watch that shit. Don't watch.
Don't start with that one. Do not. It's too raw.
Oh yeah, it's definitely it does not hold back on that one. But we still love it. So if outlandish and over the top is your thing, do it.
It's more than over the top, but
oh yeah. Like I said, it don't hold back. But Dragons, where can they find you at, brother man?
So first of all, let me apologize for being late again, man. First time off, not doing a double on a Saturday, so I kind of like took a long nap. My bad, fellas. But it's always a pleasure having y'all having me, and this is probably one of the very rare podcasts that I can actually learn something and still get involved in the conversation. This is crazy. One Away Dragons TV. Y'all already know what it is. The gaming channel that I only promote facts, no fiction. You know what I'm saying? Just look it up. One Away Dragons on everything. Twitter, Instagram, all across the board, baby. I'm here for y'all. Just preaching the facts. That's it. All systems. All.
Yeah. Definitely give the guys here some love for coming out on the show. We do want to thank y'all. Of course, we are going to have everyone's information down in the description below. So be looking out for that update. But everyone in the chat, thank you for joining us again and having fun. But tonight's been a good day. So we're going to catch y'all later. So peace out and check it, everybody.
Peace.
Thank you, everybody, for coming on through.